Start with a primed black orc and dry brush silver all over the bike and gun. I'm actually using a weathering powder. The silver from the Tamiya Weathering Master Tricolor palette is fantastic, and this palette is a pressed weathering powder palette. I have a full review of the palette on my personal channel. I'll also mention the paints I'm using, but the description below will have a full list. I'm putting the silver all over the place. It's okay, because if it's somewhere it shouldn't be, you'll likely be painting over it. I'm pretty much hitting everything with silver except for the orc himself and the tires. After the silver's on, throw green onto the orc's exposed skin, his hands, his head, and his brawny arms. This is P3's Ordic Olive. Remember to water down your paints on your palette to the consistency of milk before you paint it on. Multiple thin layers is better than a single thick chunky layer. Let it dry between coats. Next, we're going to paint red onto the armor plates. This is Vallejo model color in Carmine Red. Again, watered down. I'm hitting it wherever it looks like there's an armor plate. Feel free to use more or less red as you see fit. Every orc and every warbike, after all, is as unique as a delicate snowflake. While we're waiting for all those layers of red and green to dry, we'll paint some yellow hazard striping down on the gun. It's as simple as painting some diagonal yellow lines down a narrow, flat surface that's been painted black. You can also use that yellow to pick out a few fine details like that lightning and fire emblem on the bike. Once you've put a few layers down to get a good solid green base, mix that green with some yellow tones. I'm using Vallejo's yellow ochre, and I'm picking out the biggest, bulgiest parts of the orc, including his head, his little fingers, and his big, brawny muscles. Don't worry too terribly much about getting it just right. Painting to the tabletop standard is more like painting in an impressionist style. Just give the impression of something raised and the impression of something catching light. Once that highlight is dry, I'm going to use some of Citadel's Thraka Green Wash to blend the colors down and shade the green down. Just apply it with a nice absorbent brush and rinse that brush out, and while it's wet, kind of move the wash around and sop it up if you need to avoid that splotchiness. While we're waiting for that wash to dry, we're going to throw some of Citadel's Old Dark Flesh, or a suitable dark brown, onto the leather wrap of the handlebar, as well as this orc's belt. A mix of Vallejo's turquoise, game color blue ink, and some black paint will make for a great dark denim base color for the orc's pants, and we're going to just highlight that up with some pure turquoise and wash it back down with that blue ink to give it some real depth. I also started layering some white onto the skull or the back of his leather vest, and you can continue to do that as you wait for layers to dry. The teeth get painted with a base coat of yellow ochre, and then mixed equal parts of white and ochre for a second coat, and a final coat of white on the bike's teeth. I left some of that yellowy undercoat visible, so it gives you the impression of actual teeth, and that yellow undercoat does give it more of a realistic color as opposed to something that's pure white. Adding some more brown to that ochre, we're going to pick out some lines on the handlebar wrap. When that's dry, wash it over with a suitable brown ink. I'm using P3's Flesh Wash. Now we pick out the spikes and studs on the tires and plates in Citadel's Old Chainmail Silver, or whatever silver paint you have on hand. Don't forget the orc's little spectacles. A little silver will do over there as well. We can finish off the red plates with a watered down wash of some of Citadel's Typhus Corrosion from their technical paints line, which adds a dirty, grimy feel to that red and gives it some depth. I also took some orange rust from my weathering powder palette and patted it onto some of the silver parts of the bike so it didn't look so new and shiny. But you can sponge on some silver for the chipped look, like from the tank painting tutorial on this very channel, onto the red, or just leave it off altogether. And just like that, we're done. Howdy folks, my name is Teri, and here on the Geek and Sundry Vlogs channel, I talk about miniature wargaming. Today, we are going to celebrate the release of the orcs throughout the month of June by painting up a Cult of Speed Orc Warbiker, aka a Speed Freak, and we're going to do it in the Speed Freak style by painting one up very quickly with very basic techniques. Even if you have never painted a model before, you can use this tutorial to paint up this model. It is very simple, and you don't need to be an advanced painter to do it whatsoever. The total time spent on this model is about 90 minutes. I'm going to put an unedited cut of this entire painting tutorial on my personal channel if you don't believe me, so you can actually watch me go through all of the steps. Now speed freaks wait for no one, so let's get painting! That's it, and the model looks pretty fantastic. Speaking of tabletop quality, if you want to improve the quality, simply spending a little more time and picking out even more details will up the level of quality of this model. And there's so many cool things on orc models to paint. You have an endless supply of things you can touch up on models like this. Also, if you're going to be using weathering powder like I did, you probably want to seal this model with some sort of sealant, so make sure you get a spray of matte or shiny lacquer and give them a spray down just to make sure that the paint and weathering powder do set. Now check out these fantastic Space Marines painted by Jeffrey. He sent these to me via Facebook, and I really love the details he put on those plasma guns. As always, if you want me to feature your painted models or projects in these vlogs, go ahead and let me know by hitting me up in the social media links down below. Let me know in the comments today what your favorite character or race that rides bikes are. I don't care, science fiction or fantasy. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite mounted character or race. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite mounted character or race happens to be. While you are down there, don't forget to hit the like button to like this video. Subscribe to the Geek and Sundry Vlogs channel if you aren't already, and check out Paul Mason, who is one of the best nerd crafters ever, making fantastic and accessible nerd crafts every video. Go ahead and check out what he's made in the little bit box down below. Until next time, I will see you soon. There he is, and he is done. There he is, and he is done. You may have noticed that I painted the armor plates red, and that is because orcs believe the red things, they go faster. And simply put, you may have noticed I painted all the armor plates red, and there's a specific reason for that. That is because orcs believe that red things, they go faster. And you may have noticed that the bike is painted. You may have noticed the armor plates on the bike were painted red, and that is because orcs believe that red things do very much go faster. And I explain all of that in a series called What the Fluff on my personal channel. You can check it out here, or hit the links down below in the description to subscribe to my channel and find those out.